Hey y'all, welcome to my coverage of the National Open, round number 7. This video is named what it's named because, well, you'll see. It was a rough game. It just ended, literally. It was over 5 hours long. It was the last game. Basically, there was like maybe 2 others in the entire ballroom. Like the entire open section was done. I am very drained. I've placed an order. Food order. It's gonna get delivered pretty soon. But I'm just right here. Listen, raw emotion, fresh off the game, fresh off the analysis, and I'm going to share it with y'all. And my opponent is Vladimir Akopian. He's an Armenian grandmaster with a rating of 2638, peak 2713, won a gold medal at the Olympiad with Armenia. He's beaten Kasparov. He's beaten Kramnik. Very, very, very strong player. And this game I began with d4, and I began with d4 because he likes the Slav defense. In fact, he played it a couple of rounds earlier, and he was more likely to play it, I thought, if I played d4. He also plays some knight f6 stuff, which I was totally happy to see. And he played this, and I kind of expected this because he did this a couple of rounds earlier. It's important to prepare your games like this, to also check the games from the current tournament. And part of me actually wanted to do this and bishop g2. And the funny thing is that this position is exactly what I had last round, but with colors reversed. So I would have done the exact same 2 pawns in the center setup. But instead, I just chose to turn it into a modern defense. So my opponent has played c6 before bishop g7. I developed, he played bishop g7, and I was like, let's have some fun, okay? I mean, I can play this position in a million different ways. I can play a4 to prevent b5. I just said, let's have some fun. Let's play h4. He played a move, no, not right away. He played a normal move. And then he played a move which I've seen before, but is actually this exact position is already quite rare, like h4 and this early queen to b6. Like normally black is playing b5 and trying to get this play over here, anticipating my queenside castle. But this move is also very logical. And here I played a3, which is a funny move. I thought I was very clever. I would trap his queen if he took my pawn. And he just responded with h5. And folks, this is the first position in which I kind of started letting already the game slip. Not from a perspective of being lost, but making questionable decisions. I could not figure out for the life of me which of my moves made any sense. Like, do I develop my bishop or my bishop there or my bishop there? Do I just not develop my bishop and play knight e2? I was anticipating his counterplay with e5 against my center, and if he ever moves that knight, the bishop will join in. I thought for like 20 minutes, and I played this move. And this is just a stupid move. It doesn't lose the game. It's just like, why could I have not just played rook b1? Like, why did I play both of the moves addressing this? You know, and then he played e5, and I played this to defend my bishop, setting up this, and here he just took. And he just took because if I were to take with the bishop attacking his queen, he has this move. Oops. Hitting my queen, and, you know, if I take, he takes me. I mean, it's just, there's nothing there, right? So, I had to go for a queen trade. So now, at this point, he started blitzing moves. Like, he started playing every move instantly. Knight d7. And, you know, we spent some time in the opening, and I had to keep up with him. I didn't want to do what I did last game, have 1 minute versus 45, so I tried to play fast. I brought my knight out to h3. I brought my bishop out. You know, I brought my rook to the center of the board. He is trying to trade dark squared bishops with me because there's kind of a massive fight for the dark squares on this side of the board. He notices that because I've got 3 pawns on light squares like this, that the dark squared real estate is right there, and he plops his knight confidently into the middle of the board, which is why he did all of this. Now he's also threatening to move c5, which would remove the defender of my bishop, so I have to back my bishop up. He goes here, and I go here. And we're clashing. And really, my logic was that his pawn is weak. You know, if I can get king f2 and rook d1, I'm very happy. He obviously can't move the pawn forward because of my sufficient control of that square. But he plays this. And again, up until this moment, he's playing every move basically instantly. Like, he's played, like, the last 6 moves, like, instantly. And I'm trying to withstand the momentum. There's a massive shift in the momentum of the position. He's going to go here. He's going to go here. Push me back. And I anticipate that. I anticipate all of this. And here I played not takes. I didn't like this. I didn't like just opening the lines for him, even though it's completely fine. I played this move. And here the point is that if he were to take, then I just go back. and he can't guard his h-pawn. So I was like, oh, I'm so clever. Like, look at me, I'm so clever. Knight h3. Now, I knew he was going to take, because it's just the first time the bishop has moved, and it just takes and removes itself from the game, and now this rook is going to come to action. So here, rook takes h3 is a very natural recapture, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that he would go back and just win the fight for the dark squares. Like, if I go here, I mean, my rook is just so ugly. Of course, computer gives equality, but I thought I was being extremely creative with this move. Like, folks, the entire thing about my structure is the fact that I cannot just boot the knight. I would love to be able to do this, but he would just go here and live here forever. But, again, I thought I was really smart, because now he doesn't have that anymore. So if he were to take, now I would play f4, rook g1, and his doubled h-pawns don't really impress anybody. I mean, he's up a pawn. Right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to take like this, and we're going to defend this position. It's not a very pleasant position, but we'll figure it out. So he plays knight to g6. And what he wants is for me to take, opening up this file for him. I was stubborn, and I was like, no, I'm creative. And there's actually a really nasty trap here. So if he takes like this, he loses the knight. That's not the trap. That would just be a guess the elo. But if he goes here, it looks like my idea is to play this. And if he takes, there is this. But my idea is the absolutely stunning e5 with crisscross applesauce. And there's nothing he can do. Like, if he tries to bring the knight back, I take on d6. And he can go here, but then I have rook e1, and he's just busted. And I was like, am I going to catch him, dude? I didn't catch him, dude. He played knight f4, and I went here. Just trying to get him to take me, because if he takes me, then I play this move. And I was like, I'm happy here. You know, knight f4, I'm going to take on g5, like, you know, we're going to keep it moving, I'm going to take, etc. What I didn't realize is that this doesn't work at all, because there's this, but apparently he trusted me, and I trusted him right back. So he went here, and here is where I made my second really bad decision. It was a downward spiral. So far, I'm defending okay. I got the position that I wanted from, you know, the opening, which was kind of a disaster. He has doubled h-pawns, and there's one file up for grabs. And in my mind, it didn't occur to me, it doesn't matter whether we trade rooks or not. Like, in this position, I played the move f4, and that allowed him to trade one pair of rooks. To win an endgame like this, you need to trade a pair of rooks. And, like, I know that. It just totally left my mind, which is one of the reasons I'm so sad. Like, so many things I did this game were just completely illogical. What I should do is 100% just take control of the file. Now he can't trade rooks with me. The only way he can trade rooks with me is if he trades all the rooks with me, and this is a draw. He will not win this. He could be Magnus Carlsen. I think I could even draw Magnus here. I have a few ways of holding this. I mean, black has a few creative ways of trying to play this for a win, like black can sack the pawn and then go win it. You know, there's like, okay, you know what? Maybe not against Magnus. Maybe Magnus would beat me, but every other super GM, I feel like I would have good chances. But I just let him trade rooks. Like, I let him get here, and I still thought, like, no problem, we're holding. And then he goes here. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? My whole plan was to play knight e2, knight g1, knight f3, and that's too slow. Why is it too slow? Do you know why it's too slow? Are you paying attention? Do you know why it's too slow? It's too slow because he's just quick with play. Like, the more time I take, he's just gonna go here, and he's just got play on my weakness. Like, I just don't have enough time. Check, I can't take, I lose f4. So, at this point, I was like, okay, let's go there. And I know his next move. It's going to be to take this file and try to go for my h-pawn. And I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna take that threat into consideration. He can't go there. And he goes here, which I saw to try to sneak around and win my pawn. And I'm gonna take here. And here was my first glimpse of hope. I was like, I tricked him. If he goes here, I go e5. And if he goes here, I go f5. I'm so smart. Because, again, he can't move his knight. Because, like, you know, I'm threatening to take. But no, he just takes. And anywhere I move my king, I can't go up because he'll check me. with his knight. But anywhere I move my king, it doesn't matter. He has this. And I just totally forgot about that. I just totally forgot about it. Knight to e4, and there's nothing I can do. I can't take anything. I can't give him a check. So, like, he plays rook h2, and I'm like, dude, what? Okay, from here on out, you are going to defend this position and stop doing stupid stuff. Knight to g1. It's an ugly move, but it's necessary. He trades, and he takes my pawn. Now, he's up a pawn. He's still up a pawn. But what do I have? A mini fortress. I can play this move, and I'm constantly threatening to take and outflank him and just create chaos. So if he were to just gobble my pawns, you know, like, he could gobble all of them. Like, this is a crazy position. He could literally take all of my pawns. So I actually had to edit this part with the last part together because I started looking down because my food came like 30 minutes earlier than expected. Normally in Las Vegas, your food comes 40 minutes late and half the order is missing. That's basically what I've been learning. You don't get half of your food here. But this one actually was great and it came early. So we just ate, so it's been like 40 minutes between recordings. So what I was saying is, in this position, he can take all my pawns, but it's just a draw because he can't actually save his knight. He has to stay close, and this would be a draw. So for that reason, he didn't do that, and instead did this. And here it's move 34, so we have both to make 6 moves to get our extra 30 minutes. That's the time control. And we both have, like, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe like 4, 5, 6 minutes, something like that. So I bring my rook back, and he pushes, and I go here, and I realize that I can actually, like, make this little infiltration, because my knight is actually very nicely guarding the pawn. His knight cannot move forward whatsoever. And a move like rook b5, which actually looks very natural to try to go rook b3, probably is his best chance. I was just going to go here, and then hope for the best. So here I just shuffled back and forth. Like, I literally was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to make time control. And then I played this move, and this was his 39th move. And then I played king d3. And the point of this is that I'm attacking his rook. He can fork me, but then I take. So now we are at time control. This is now move 41. We got our extra 30 minutes. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? I've actually made some pretty serious progress in defending this position. King to e3. And now he takes, which is actually kind of interesting. I can't take and then take because he takes and makes a queen. So that's kind of hopeless. So I have this, and he plays back to c4. And I think for a little bit, I'm like, okay, he wants rook c3, he wants rook c1. And in this position, I calculated that if I play king d3, rook c1, I can take the h-pawn. Because he can fork my king and my rook, but then I have this, and I counterattack his rook. And I got really excited. I was like, oh, maybe he missed that. When, I mean, king d2 is also fine, but it felt a little bit passive. So I played this, he played this, and then I was like, wait, why did I only look at knight f4? And I got so rattled because I realized I just allowed this. And I just, like, I went from maybe 24 minutes on the clock to 5 in this position because nothing I was looking at worked. Like, I gave him this check, and I was really hoping that, like, this endgame is a draw after here, here, here. I was, like, really hoping that I could somehow hold this. It's probably unholdable because in the time that my king needs to spend going here, he will move his knight, win my other pawn, and probably win the game. But there's a very small chance that this is a holdable endgame. I did see this, and I just was like, okay, maybe this is my best chance. But I was so upset with myself for having allowed this that at this point, I started to just play stupid moves. It's actually funny. What I played in the game is still holding. Rook a3, and here I had to abandon my pawn and go rook h6 with the goal of going rook h7, and then like he has to go to the back rank, and then I could play like rook h6 again, attacking his knight and trying to win the pawn. As long as I win one more pawn, so I'm not down 2 pawns, I'm good. But I couldn't recover. And I just played some moves. Like, I just did whatever. I played, like, here, and then, like, let him take and let him do. And by the way, he actually missed the win. Rook f3 here is winning rather than taking the pawn because I can't take. There's just knight f4, rook f4. And I just kind of like gave up. I mean, literally, I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to play some moves. Not even realizing, like, you see the whole idea I did with rook h6, rook h7? I could have done that without allowing his pawn to just go forward one square. I mean, so many bad decisions in this game. And that takes me all the way here. I have kind of stopped his pawn. And he plays rook h2 because he has to guard it. And what he wants here is to push his other pawn and play rook c2. And check me, and I mean, I can't win his knight because he's threatening to queen. So I'm sitting there, this is move 54, we're in the 5th hour of play, and here I calculated that after knight to b4, he can play h3. Of course, I cannot take with the rook because my knight cannot stop this pawn, but if I go here, I calculated check, king b3, knight d4, and he queens. The game is over. He also wins my knight. Except, I don't have to move my king, I just go here. And like, okay, it's still a little bit tricky. Like I still have to play one of the defensive moves and stop his pawn. But I missed knight c3. It was like a game of having bright moments and then having it all taken away from me. And I mean, basically, this is the only way to win here is rook d2, this is a fascinating and complex endgame, really insane endgame. But I just played here, and he has this cool check I can't take because he queens, and he just. Yeah, well, his pawn's promoted. And it was interesting because all of this dates back to me allowing the move rook a1. Like, I was completely positive that at this point I had, not right here, that I had screwed up. And I was trying to rally myself, like trying to convince myself I still had hope to save the game. And it's crazy that I did because I thought I totally lost it. And, yeah, this is why I'm sad, because I don't think I played my best at all. I think so much went wrong in this game. But, there is a positive takeaway. I'm going to obviously study up a little bit on the opening, so it's not such a disaster next time. But also, he analyzed with me afterward, and he is so much better than me. He was rattling off some lines, whereas, like, I was so tired, but Akopian was just like, just like 7 moves in a row, and I was like, that was kind of our postmortem. It was a tough defensive task, and I failed. So I made this recap, and I'm gonna go lay down now. I'm very tired, and tomorrow's the last day, y'all. Rounds 8 and 9 tomorrow, and then the National Open is finished. Tough game, very tough game. My only 2 losses come with white against 2700 USCF. 2600 FIDE rated players. I will see you in round number 8. Peace out. Get out of here.